people study these religions the way they presented, not the way they really are. And it actually is one of the only figurines that I know that has a butthole. If we care about our fellow beings, then we should want equality. Totemist had started to change. It starts maybe male, and then it turns into like maybe one being who's intersex, bisexual, means all for the clan. Then they split it into male and female, where think of it this way, they feel women, as I already told you, are the spiritual ones, are the religious ones, and the men, they're going to control things. So they're the clan leaders, whatever, but they're not spiritual. So you have these two people that are powerful in a sense, the head of the religion and the head of the culture.
Welcome to the Apostate Sisters interview series, where we hold space for those who've walked away from their faith and are now educating others. Damien Marie AtHope grew up as an intersex child in an abusive and hyper-religious home. Now he's an autodidact polymath, wielding archaeology, psychology, and art like demolition tools against ignorance. His greatest desire is to use knowledge to help others. He'll map religion from animism to the formation of organized religion, and how gender and sexuality figures in along the way. Damien shows that binary gender has never been the default setting for our stories or our species. Let's welcome Damien Marie AtHope. Help the sisters keep this healing content coming. Like, subscribe, and comment. Drop some dollars, or support us by becoming a channel member or patron for extra perks.
But kind of at this point, okay, you know you're an atheist, and then now you have.
So now I have to be informed, because I was 100% as everything too. Is I felt like everyone's like, well, actually, I'm not atheist. I'm agnostic. You know, I'm atheist to the Abrahamic gods, but not the other ones. And I'm like, yeah, I'm against all of them, because I actually know, unlike you, that they're all actually related. So
yes,
you're acting like there's different.
That's what I'm really fascinated about, because I love history too, and going back to, like, I study ancient, deities, who are all these characters that people used to worship throughout history, and you've broken it down for me quite beautifully too. Like, well, this is kind of like where it started or where it branched out, and look at the progression.
Yeah, well, so that's what happened. Is at first, my wife said that before I really knew much, she's like, it's all connected, and okay. And then the archaeologists I talked to said, oh no, it's not. No, everything. They invented he told me this was just wrong. He told me, oh, they invented the bow many times. Well, the bow, 80,000 to 75,000 years ago, was invented in South Africa. And then when humans left for the second time, they took the bow technology with them. It was already in France by 50,400. It was already in Indonesia by 48,000. Anyways, so my point is that when people said stuff, I didn't know. So, and I wanted to know. And I also felt like another thing why I share it all for free is because I'm from poverty. I'm from also where I wasn't allowed to have books and reading and stuff and TV and pictures, anything, right? So I want to give the world for free because I really care. I also felt this is something that capitalists won't expect, for me to work harder than everyone else and yet give it all for free.
Fuck yeah.
I work like hours and hours. Like one piece of art takes me sometimes a day to 2 days to do. And to do the research, it usually takes me a week for every single piece of art. Well, some of them are simpler, some are more complex. So some might take 2 months.
I've seen some of your work.
I just recently wanted to figure out where, I already knew this. I knew that the Sky Father, which is a Proto-Indo-European type of a deity, comes into the Americas sometime about 6,000 to 5,000. But at the time, I knew it came in, and it went maybe to the Tlingit, which are in the Pacific coast, and then it went down to almost Seattle area. Then it branched and went across and became Algonquin. which in the
Cool.
Great Lakes, the Ochobe or Chippewa, that group made the mounds first. Well, then those mounds go into Ohio and become the mound cultures. So that's why. But anyways, I wanted to figure out where, how, who, what, when, how, So I recently made a thing where, because I had already had an idea, because once again, even though it's better than everybody else, I want to know exact as much as possible. And also, like you said, present it for other people. Look at this. Look at how all the great spirits follow with language. Crazy, right? Almost like it's a cultural thing.
Almost like it.
Yeah, almost like it. So I started to realize, and also a few of them I started realizing, because everybody, if you ask some people about the Great Spirit, they will say, oh, well, it's actually the Great Mystery. Well, some of them it is. There's 3 different versions I found out by doing the actual research of every single native religion. So what it is that there's the one that's like a great mystery, which is kind of like in a Chinese sense of like chi or something, like an energy force that's all around. Anyways.
Okay.
So that's that one. But that's not how all of them are. But a lot of them will say that's the main thing. That's not the main thing. That's actually like an offshoot, because the main thing, 5,500 years ago, what came in was a supreme deity. And supreme deities are the head of a pantheon, usually a creator, usually male, Sky Father. So, so I know what it was that came in. Then different groups understand it their way. But Sky Chief is in multiple areas, including down to South America. There's only one group that really does the Great Spirit down there in North South America. The one that goes to the Caribbeans, that became the Caribbeans, those people, they have it, which I think cDNA probably brought it down, because the Waco, or whatever it is, people right next to them, but a little bit further, have cDNA, and everyone, in other words, you understand, 95% of all people in South America are qDNA male. So cDNA came in down there probably 6,000 to 5,000 to 4,000 years ago. I don't know exactly.
I'm not familiar with the Q versus C DNA. Can you explain what
that
means?
So qDNA is Lake Baikal and Siberians. cDNA is basically Mongolia or Turkish people when they started, in a sense.
Okay.
So not now.
What was the point and reason for that split from wherever?
That's a long thing. They both were around Lake Baikal, and they both went over pressure from other cultures, because all these cultures were very violent. And so after 7,000, that's a whole other thing too. I figured out. So, well, let me finish what I was saying. So the Great Spirit. So the other kind, right? So it can be male or female Great Spirit, or something close to that. Some sort of, they call it non-gender or something. But then there's ones that are just male, and they're just the creator, and they're a sky god, often the sun. I mean, it's the same thing as the Sky Father. It's just a different interpretation. But so I feel that all those either they came in at a little bit different times, which I don't think that's probably what, or they just understood it different. So in other words, you get the same deity story, and then you retell it different in a sense, but it's the same story. Anyway, so figuring out religion. So everything starts, speaking about gender too. Yet gender changes with religion. So religion starts in animism in Africa at 100,000 to, let's say, 70,000 years ago. And what they believed is that there's no afterlife. The world's magical in a sense. There's no afterlife though. And everyone, when they die, goes up to the sun. And that's where that's where the dead people go, the ancestors or whatever. But they are bilateral in a sense for their thing. They believe that you're part of your mother and father, not like one side or the other. So they believe in both. In fact, a child is given a name from both the mother and a different one from the father, and that makes them a two-gendered being. All beings are two-gendered.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's the animism mentality. So totemism, at first, I believe, which you do see in the, which I sent it to you, but they don't explain it very deeply, but what I gave you. But I think that that's what goes out of Africa. Everyone's is a two-spirited, has two names from both family, sides, male and female, and both people are male and female. There's no such thing as a only male, only female.
Okay.
So then it goes into totemism in Europe and France and Germany, meets the Neanderthals, other people, not us, which I think help inspire the clan mentality of, well, they're people, but we're the people that matter, our clan. So you can see them starting to break up and do stuff. But that also means, like I was saying before about gender, then we need to make our people bigger. We need procreation. So they start caring a lot about lineage and making babies and all that. So although I do think one good thing happened, because when totemism 40,000 years ago in Europe, before that, from 54 until 40, massive incest. People are raping people that can't fight back, probably. I mean, because this is how I see it. People aren't really that different. Whether you have a name for it or not, when someone violates you, it's a violation. So, but once totemism comes, it stops people because it tells you who you can have sex with. And you have to have sex with the opposite clan. You not only can't have sex with your family, you're not allowed to have sex with the people in your clan. It has to be the other, because I don't know you don't about know this, but they have a thing called modis, which are like two groupings, and then they'll have clans inside of it. So the whole thing is called like a tribe, and then you'll have a modi. So then I'll just use the Pacific Northwest because it's easy to me. You have the killer whale modi, and you have, say, the eagle modi. One's the water in a sense, one's the sky. Okay. So the sky is always better. I'm not agreeing with this, by the way. So I'm explaining religion.
Yeah.
Not saying I think this is fucking true.
This was their mindset. Yeah. We got
it. in that mindset, it also means the invention of hierarchy.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that clan is better than this one simply because it's in the sky. Because the sky is, they also call them high gods, and high gods are generally different than low gods, like in the water.
So maybe this isn't the point, but do you see that the reason they started thinking, oh, I need to procreate with people from the other clan was because they actually started having like incest problems? Like,
I don't know.
Did they figure that out? No.
I don't. All I know is that there's a DNA. They can tell in the DNA there's a big drop, massively. Okay. That you know that something social is someone's changing this. 40,000 years ago, something is making men not have sex with their own family.
Wow. Okay.
So, and we know today that if men can get away with it, lots of them still do that shit. So you can imagine 40,000 years ago, if you can get them to stop, that's a big deal. Anyways. But so I do see, that's why I also like some atheists just blanket say everything is bad. I look at stuff and I try to be honest. Most of it sounds bad to me, but the fact of not hurting, your family, that actually was a positive to me. I'm pro not incest, raping people. I mean, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So
hard to believe all people are not, but yeah.
What's really sad is you go try to change the age. To California, where I was from, right? They tried to change the age because I can't remember exactly, but one of who it was, it's not now, it's like years ago. But one of the governors or something made fun of say, I don't know, Alabama for having 12 years old or 10 years old be the age of consent or whatever the fucking crazy shit it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can marry at that age. Just and what's the difference in that? Anyways. But he said, oh, we're at least not like that. And he looked, and ours is 16 to marry, I think, or 15 or some shit. So he goes, wow, let's change it to 18. And I was like, I'm all for that. Fuck yeah. Why does someone not an adult can't rent a car, but yet can get married? it just shows you, though, how this world is not ethical. It tries to act like it is. It's not. The Bible is not ethical. Hell, fuck no.
Right.
All the religious books, really. I feel like all religions, I realized from studying all the stuff I have studied, because I studied animism, totemism, shamanism, paganism, all the gods, all the things, and from Indonesia to to Iceland or whatever. And what I realized is pseudoscience, pseudo history, and pseudo morality. They all have it.
Wow. Well, no one can say that you did not study up on this. You have.
Yeah, anyone who thinks that I haven't, just look at my front page. In fact, I've had people before, like what do you call it? Trolls. They'll say something and go check out my page and then go, whoa. Never mind.
You know what you're talking about. We can get back to like animism, totemism, and then where you want to take it from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to get to shamanism and paganism, but then go to the stuff you found, because what you found is from shamanism, and which already makes sense because shamanism doesn't care about your gender. So finding a dual gendered figurine made by a shamanist is not a shocker.
I'm looking forward to it.
And it was about shamanism. So shamanism, it was about the first shaman being buried as a female. So shamanism starts male, and the totemism starts relatively male, or maybe not male. Maybe it starts like the thing where it's an intersex being. And because they're intersex, they mean everyone in the clan, because they're both genders in a sense. So having one person be the thing can actually be for the whole clan in that sense. But then by 35,000 that splits. So I think 43,000, to sort of talking numbers, I think 43,000, like the Proto-Indo-European mythology, they talk about maybe the primordial being one person that's two gendered. And I think that's accurate, because there's multiple deities that are two gendered. And then also seeing the shaman have a figurine that's intersexed, and probably they felt it's a two gendered person. I think that matches with what the Proto-Indo-European says. Well, maybe at first, before everything, maybe it was the two gendered person that started everything, like creator or whatever. In fact, even the rainbow serpent, like in people always think of as a goddess, is actually dual gendered, really. It's female mainly, but dual gendered. Anyway, so that's always fun stuff, right? For the people that want to be bigoted. Like, so some religion is obviously not bigoted, especially to me, the more it lacks totemism, then the more it's open to more stuff. The more it has totemism, rules and laws and things, and then it's more gender, by gender or whatever, just one or two. It's way more opinions about stuff, because even paganism, like there's a Norse, if you had Freya as your deity, that meant that you were trans or gay. As a male, you were supposed to pick Thor in a sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So in a sense, they're not anti-gay, but they're certainly pro-man not being gay. So it almost ends up as the same thing, sort of. You get my point? Like Loki, he actually would dressed up as a woman and had sex with a god. I can't remember if he found him attractive or what the whole thing was. I don't remember now, but he dressed up as a female and had sex with a man. Loki did. So Loki's a man, and that's part of, in a sense, Norse religion. So it shows that they still have characters that are non-heteronormative or whatever.
And so Norse mythology, you are considering as shamanism or totemism?
Well, okay, it is paganism, but paganism. So it's like Legos. Everything has a foundation of animism, spiritual and or supernatural beliefs. Then you put laws and totemism stuff on top of it.
And that's like hierarchy being
hierarchy
imposed.
and
Okay.
all kinds of other stuff. But it doesn't have to be really strong hierarchy, but it is some sort of a hierarchy, because to some point, and it's already value judging who's better, who's not on the level of the hierarchy too. It's not, but then you have shamanism on top of that, which is, so in other words, totemism is about like this life, shamanism is about the afterlife, kind of more. So they can actually often do go together.
Okay.
So that people have a hard time sometimes that they're saying that those are separate religions, because now they kind of aren't. They're like religious persuasions, but then so is animism. But then if you really understand, like I do, so is paganism. These things are not like separate the way people think of them. So you get what I'm trying to say? So, yeah. But yes, I'm just saying, depending, but just like a person can be a female and dress up with hair like yours, or like Nancy's, have a hat on and not look as female. I'm just making a comment as far as hair. I'm just saying, so I'm just making it, that's this, so these things take the template and then can juggle and move stuff around, so they can be more animistic, which is more nature based and seeing like all kinds of, like say if you everything was an omen or something, that in a sense is a animistic thinking, because you're looking at nature, trying to read it, and it's all magical, trying to talk to you, sort of. You get what I'm saying? But like say a paganism could say, and that has to be when we have a king or something, that, because shamanism don't care about that. Animism definitely don't care about that. The closest thing would be totemism, because they have a chief or a thing or a hierarchy, but even them themselves don't exactly have kings. So that tells me it's a later form of paganism, because paganism to me starts off with male and female, and males more, but it's females pretty close. And then that's in hunting cult. Then it goes to herding cult. Female gets even less. Now it's almost like the man show. And so in other words, from 13 to 12, it's probably somewhat, neutral. The male and female are kind of similar. Male's a little better, but not much. Then herding comes, and men are controlling animals, and then they sacrifice them and stuff. So then the hunting cult turns into herding cult from 12,000 till say 10,000, because about that time, women really start becoming more at 10,000. Female totems and stuff show up in the Middle East. I mean, you start to be way more female, and female art of nude females. Never had that before. Then by 8,500, 9,000, it becomes very, very female. And
what do you attribute that shift to?
Cult. What's that?
What do you attribute that shift to focus on femininity more?
Agriculture. So in herding mentality, you hear about this in the Bible, the theme. So Cain and Abel, think of it as a story of the herders and the agriculturists at war. Mm-hmm. So Cain, right, kills Abel. But who is Abel? Abel is the one that does animals, because he offers God meat. He kills things, and God likes that better. That's what the Bible says. Right. And he was also very hairy, manly man. And the other one was the homosexual, vegan that's eating vegetables and kills nothing. That's kind of what the story is saying. And then the homosexual guy kills the manly man, and then he benefits because then he tricks his father to get the blessing in the Bible. I'm talking about Cain and Abel.
Oh, yeah.
So that to me, and I'm not the only one that feels this way. You can read on the Wikipedia Cain and Abel, and they'll say it's agriculture and herding, or hunting cult, or something close to that. I don't remember exactly, but it says something close to that. But I already knew that without reading that. Actually, I already knew that, and then I read that, and I went, "Oh, see, they agree."
Does that have an echo then in the Jacob and Esau story? Because there's like Esau's hairy, and he's the hunter. Yeah. And he gets kind of like screwed out of the birthright.
You're getting at these, because you know what? A lot of the people don't understand. In the Americas, the one religion besides animism that's 100%, The religious idea, reincarnation is 100% of every single tribe in the Americas. That blew me away. That it's that big. But this also has to do with the idea of the earth and water. As I always tell people when they go, oh, well, the flood is here or it's here. And I'm like, see, now I know you've not read the story properly. The story starts at water world, where the whole world is water and there's no land. That's even the Bible, right? It tells the same story.
Oh, yeah.
The Bible says the Spirit of the Lord flew over the water of the deep. Yeah, it talks about that. And that's also the wind deity, by the way, that actually holds dries out the land and holds the water of the sky away from the earth. But that's a whole different thing. But
right.
Because once you actually see it for what it really is and understand how it relates, like you were saying, so you already picked out how to look at this. See, that's the problem I'm saying is people study these religions the way they presented, not the way they really are.
That's such an important point.
Right. So that's also why I don't agree with the thing of saying that, well, if you read the Bible, you'll become an atheist. I read the Bible twice, 2 different versions, King James and the new NIV, or whatever it is. New America's, not movie stand, whatever it is, NIV.
New International Version.
Yeah, international version. Couldn't remember what it was called. I used to have an onion paper. I was so proud. Bought this $80 fucking Bible. Then I became an atheist. I threw it in the garbage. And I go, that's where it belongs.
Damn.
That's what I did with mine.
I was like, this is toxic garbage. At 0 do I need this. So, but anyway, so I'm saying, so the story is, so once you start going back to the water, so once you understand that what the story really is about reincarnation, that's what it's about. So it starts in water, and there's many different stories of how it gets to be not water, where there's a turtle or there's animals that make mud, or there is a magic god that wishes it, or like I said, the wind god, like the spirit over the deep. The wind god dries out land. And then the first land's called the mound of creation, which has to do with the pyramids and mounds in the Americas and mounds in Siberia and mounds in Ukraine and all the kurgans and dolmens. All these are related to the same thing.
It's crazy.
So all over the world.
This might be crazy. Is there any connection between the mounds and like the whole like water moving over the deep being like the sexual act and the mounds being like a pregnant belly or full breasts?
Yes, of course. Yes, that goes into it.
Good
in fact,
catch.
in one of the Egyptian myths, he ejaculates, and that's what starts the world. But also, there's another one too about the pregnant belly. Speaking of pregnant belly, in Neville Corey, there's a picture of 2 pregnant women, and then in the middle is they call it a dancing turtle, but it's a turtle mythology that, like I don't know if you know about this, but a lot of Native Americans have it, the world turtle or whatever, or not all, but some do.
Turtle Island, even.
Yeah, well, they call it Turtle Island, but it all relates to that same thing. And that actually, to me, the turtle itself, the mound idea or mountain idea comes from Siberia. But when they came down to the Middle East, where there was not mountains, it stopped being exactly a mountain thing. And then also, they already had 35,000 years old in Israel, North Israel. They had a turtle, totemism turtle shell stone, altar or something. So they already were into turtles. So when it comes down, the ideas from Siberia come down 22,000 years ago. They start agriculture because of it. Probably because people that were foraging more had more, and then you show them, hey, look, I'm starting to do this. And they're like, that's a great idea because we always need more food because they're from Siberia. Not the Middle East. But anyways, that's my thought of why. But so anyways, but it just starts 22,000 years ago in Israel, starts proto farming. And they also have a plaque, which has 2 sides, which they already were doing in Siberia, having plaques. But they also, even older, 30 to maybe 42 or 3,000 years in France and Germany, which is totemism. We're already doing plaques. So plaques may have started there, then went to Siberia, and then went to the Middle East. And that would match too, because that's how bear hunting starts in France, goes to Siberia, goes down to Middle East, and then changes to cow hunting because there's not a lot of bears. Not
or ox and such.
Not a lot of bears, so you stop. It becomes horned animals, and then it also go back up. So then horned animals go back up at least 10,000 years ago to the Siberia and all that. So they start having the cosmic hunt relate to horned animals or the bear. Anyway, but anyway, so pregnant. So they're just talking about pregnancy. So they have two women that are pregnant right next to a turtle, which in a sense is pregnant. It's relating to the what's called the earth diver myth, which is the fact of a turtle having the world on its back, in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, some of them say it's a shell, but its shell is still a mound because if you tip a egg upright, it's if you crack it and you lay the part of the crack down, it would be a little mountain.
Yeah.
So you have to think animistically. You have to, just like they thought that the yellow was the sun and the other stuff was the sky, the white part. And then the egg part of the bottom became the underworld for the egg myth specifically.
Fascinating what people thought back then before they had science and more answers. It really is.
I think it's just lovely to like try to think how they would have thought and like kind of honor the way that they saw it without having more information. It's fascinating and beautiful, this human legacy of ours.
But the dangerous part comes in, like, some people still fucking believe some of this shit that people thought.
Oh, a lot.
Even though we have the
people
answer.
Still believe it. That's the sad thing.
Ugh, God.
Oh yeah,
Grow up. Let's call it what it is. Mythology. It's stories. Some of them not so beautiful. But yeah. Grow up.
Wow.
Okay. To get it, but anyways, it's a picture of two people, right? But this is real important because this relates to the mythology and how we know it's the mythology. One of the person I know has the twins, is pregnant with two, and it has the woman with both sides of her belly are coming out. But then it has another one where only one side, and that's because that one gave birth to the dawn goddess, which then gives birth to the twins. And the dawn goddess dies in childbirth, and so the grandmother, which is the sky mother, has to take care of the twins. Anyways, but so then her body becomes the earth in a sense sometimes.
Okay.
Or she becomes part of the earth because she's dead, and so she's then the earth itself and also afterlife because she's now dead in the afterlife. But also it relates to the dawn because see, the dawn is the one in the sky that hides in the earth during the day. Because it only comes, which actually at first she's hiding in her own hole, her own cave, which is probably like also her vagina, but her own cave. But then later she's hiding in the man, and it probably relates to his ass. It's the changes where because like in Egypt, it's a man, it's Geb. Where everyone else has an earth mother, they have an earth father. But anyway, and that probably relates to bisexuality, probably. But so the one that's the earth mother, right? So the dawn, she's the one that's believed, because see, that's another problem. You have to think like them. There's three different suns to them. There's the dawn or the morning, sun, which they call also the morning star, which has to do with Venus, because they think it's the same star. then there's the noon sun, and then there's the evening sun, and those are all different. And the sky father in the religion is only the noon sun. Mongolia calls it the great blue sky that they worship. We don't worship the sun, we worship the great blue sky. I'm like, yeah, that only occurs when the sun is at noon. They're like, well, yeah. So it's still the sun. It's still the sky father. It's just their interpretation is just a little different.
How did they think that was three different beings? Like, if there's not, like a moment where they see it switch out, because it's clearly one big arc.
I agree with you.
I mean,
but-
of course, they still
but-
believe the Earth was
Curious.
flat in this time period too.
Right. Well, also, like, sometimes the moon is a full moon, right? But sometimes the moon is a half moon, thus bisexual, or thus darkness and light, like yin and yang.
Mhm.
That makes
So
more
it-
sense to me because it looks different. But the sun, like in the course of a day, that's
Well, the
baffling to
morning
me.
sun does look generally red, and the night sun is generally red, also, or can be, where the noon sun is never that. Anyways, I mean, we could go down. I could talk to you just about suns, and because actually, there's actually a shamanism killed people. So totemism didn't really do that because it's all about here. They kill you, it's because you violated a rule.
Okay.
But shamanism does it for sacrifice.
Oh, that's the shift. Okay.
That is a big shift. So they kill, and especially children too. They kill children, twins, because we're like talking about that. So they killed twins. But the reason why they kill and the totemists and animists didn't is because they believe there's an afterlife. They are the inventors of afterlife. So all this heaven and hell, it's those fucking shamanisms, people that did this. They're the ones that made heaven and hell. There wouldn't be heaven and hell in religion if it wasn't for them.
Damn it.
So that also allows you to kill people because they're not really dying. They're going to go see the ancestors. They're not alone.
Is there any sense for you that humans encountering scarcity drives these things, like, psychologically? How did these develop? Like, what experiences that people have that drove them to these thoughts?
I'm sure there is something, because the ones that went to France and Germany, like I said, did meet other humans. The ones that went to Siberia were kind of all up there, like you said, scarcity by themselves, because Siberia, near the Russian border above Kazakhstan, right in that corner, that's where I feel shamanism 35,000 years ago starts. And I'm more sure of that because I traced the dogs that left and the shamanism that went with them. So I know that that's pretty much accurate. And I even showed it to archaeologists, and he told me, very cool. Because I'm trying to use other ways to prove how I know what religion did.
Yeah.
So how do I know that's a hub of religion? Well, here's one of the things that happened. And everywhere these people went turned into shamanism. So then, but anyways, they and only the ones that went to Europe killed children. The ones that went the other way didn't do that at first until the Europe people show up, which was 24,000 years ago. People from France finally, or the ideas for sure, get to Siberia by 24. Then those people then go over to the Americas, the first branch. And guess what? They go over to Americas in two things, at least 16,000 to 15,000, and then about 12,000. Well, 11,500, they killed 2 children. And I believe that's a sacrifice from a shamanism mentality, and that mentality had come from Europe. Well, it's probably specifically from, at that point, no longer from France, because they had gone down to Italy, North Italy, and they killed a bunch of people there in Italy. And so the earliest one of them killing, like to our time, is 11,500, exactly the time as they killed the ones in Alaska.
What the fuck?
But like I said, if you believe that we're not really going to die,
yeah,
they're
not doing evil then.
I have God on my side. It doesn't matter if I die, I'll just go see Jesus or whatever. I mean, it's a similar. They don't have a Jesus, especially at that time, but they believe there was an afterlife. They're going to see all their relatives.
But there's like something appeasement happening, right? Like they think they're appeasing something.
Well, very, very,
so where's that coming from?
Of you, I agree. They are.
Okay.
They are. Well, they're doing. Okay, so always in religion, it's always complicated, meaning that it's always multifaceted, just like the story, right? Cain and Abel is a story, but we know it's actually something else going on, that you're telling us a second hidden story inside the story. And so the reason they kill children is to recreate the creation of the world. Just like the pyramids, they're a recreation of the mound of creation, the first land after the water world. So it's just a recreated idea. So it is sacrifice is a constant redoing of the whole thing every time. Okay. Just like, think of this. There was supposedly in the Bible, right? The cutting the foreskin, right? Doesn't make any sense. But when you understand it from Africa, where it comes from, then you understand. Because when the totemists went to Africa, they said you got to be a certain gender, but the Africans are like, we're all two gendered. So then it's upon you to stop that. And so you cut the foreskin because you remove the female part of your body. And they cut off the clitoris because you remove the male part. Now you're a real woman and a real man.
You just blew my fucking mind. Okay.
Yeah. That's
so it's not Abraham's drippy dick that made that all happen.
No.
In
Sorry,
fact,
gross.
In fact, so the real question would be: is it Semitic? Because the Jews are a Semitic language. So does any of the other Semitic do circumcision? And the answer is no. Only Africa and the little tiny bit outside of Africa, which is the Hebrews or whatever. That area, I'm sure you might know this, or I don't know, but who doesn't? But that area, all the way almost to Turkey, right? So Syria, Lebanon, Israel, the Sinai, all of that was in a sense controlled as a province of Egypt.
Sure.
So Egypt then has a problem with the Hittites. And they went down, and that's the first treaty of the world, is because they went down and wanted to take over Syria. They didn't go down to Israel, but then again, they didn't have to because, as I said, the Egyptian influence was all the way to Syria. So the war happened in Syria. That Egypt fought Turkey. I can't remember exactly when, 4,000 something. Anyways, but the United Nations has their treaty because that was the first treaty in the world where people said, we're not going to fight. And they actually tried not to. But that's also because they both almost killed each other. They both were equally bad. So this also is important because this is why Jews happened. So you have these people in Turkey and these people in Egypt that both wanted the middle land, right? They wouldn't have let Jews happen, neither of them. But because they both, as buffer states, said, well, okay, we'll just let this place be a DMZ. Israel, Lebanon, Syria will be a DMZ. We won't touch it because if you go in there, I'll know it's an act of war. And so these two major powers, like Russia in America or something, two major powers allowed this middle land to basically not be touched with because if they go in there, the other one will see it as an act of war.
The original Cold War. All right.
Yeah. So that actually allows Israel this nothing thing to think it's powerful. And that actually allows the state of Israel to be born. It would have never been born. Because Turkey would have owned it or Egypt would have owned it.
So was it like they were nomadic kind of outcast people in that DMZ space?
Kind of. What they chose to be a northern branch of the Canaanites starts having pottery and that looks real plain. It goes from really artsy, as one of the bro culture would say, faggotish looking, stuff to all of a sudden real utilitarian, just the facts, ma'am, or whatever. Like totally changed. Yet it's the same culture. They're still pretty much the same pottery. They just decided to take all stuff and make it plain and, like Amish. Plain, whatever. Yeah. So they started doing it, and they started to, by 3,000, I think it is, that they start not eating pigs. And so the rest of them all ate pigs. And but I think actually the pig thing isn't theirs. I think actually, to me, it's not even from the Middle East, I believe, because they're up in the steppe, the Scythians hate or look down on people that do pigs. But then again, if you think of the steppe, it's not really a good place to try to do pigs. It's better for herding animals or something. It's it's large grass, it's not. Anyways, my point is, so they saw that. So, and why does that matter? Well, they smoked pot. We do know that there was a temple in Israel where it had 2 stone effigies, one for the God of Israel and one for Asher. And they burned incense, frankincense for the Yahweh God, and marijuana for the Asher deity. So they're getting buzzed on the Asher deity. And the Asher deity and marijuana probably comes from the steppe, since it was there 5,500 years ago. I'm talking about marijuana. They were smoking or using it in religious things.
Sure.
So it goes down into I have an art of it too, and I also have art of the temple that shows that they were burning pot. But so that idea, I think, came with the pot, probably. That don't, because think the pot shows up, I think, at 3,500, which is kind of before them stop eating the pig. So I don't have, once again, like you said, I don't have proof that's what happened, but it sure does seem likely. And because they, in a sense, picked up some of the religion of the people of the steppes. So they had already a religion, a Canaanite religion, but then they mixed it with this new stuff. Because see, not everybody in Canaan smoked pot. So somehow the Jews are doing it, but other people in that general area are really not doing it. See what I'm saying? And they're also, by the way, they're not like everybody's not doing it. It's only priests that are doing this too. Just to make it,
and we're not talking the like infused 36% kind of stuff that we have in the stores these days, right?
Well, that's probably also accurate. Yes, I doubt that it's super strong. But my point still is that they had ideas from an outside influence, and you see it in their religion. And also, the Asher deity doesn't start with them either. It actually doesn't even start at that time. It actually is about 7,000 to 8,000 years old. So it's
now, when you say Asher, is that a male, or are we talking like Asherah?
Asherah, excuse me.
Asher.
But by the way, one thing about names, I know a lot of stuff, but I'm not good at pronouncing the names correctly. So I apologize. Like all kinds of names, like archaeologists, like, oh, you know so much, and they hear me talk about the names, you're like, oh God.
That's fine.
I was wondering about the word Asher. I thought that the Asher was like
that's right. So the Bible talks about remove your Asherah poles, right, from the temple.
Yes.
They're in the temple as a normal thing, but it was also God's wife in a sense. And another thing I think is funny that people don't know, which even some atheists don't seem to know, who is the Holy Spirit? I know who it is. Who is the Holy Spirit? Who the Holy Spirit, it says in the Bible, it's in Deuteronomy. Can't remember which verse now. I do have the thing. You can look it up. It says that El, the God El, like the Canaanite God, is the father of Yahweh.
Oh.
So El dies. That's why now he's not around. He's dead.
He's a spirit.
He's the Spirit. He's the
Holy
Holy Spirit.
Gosh.
Dude,
it's the Trinity, right? He's the Holy Spirit, El, the Father, or the grandfather, the grandfather, and then Yahweh, the Father, and then Jesus, the Son. Anyways.
Oh my goodness.
So
that's the first time I'm hearing that.
Yeah, you should watch some of my videos. I talk about all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching them regularly.
But trust me, your mind will be blown beyond belief. Because like I said, too, that's why I said I wanted to do my stuff. Because I felt like this is not being addressed by atheists. But I didn't do it to be better, just so people know. I didn't try like, I'm going to be better. I just wanted to, what's the fucking truth? How do we know? And how can I make it at least convincingly sure that this is likely it?
Right.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you had gotten to the idea of like maybe where we went more binary when it, switched from like the understanding of we're all, two gendered. And then the circumcisions like being this way to remove that and to really.
Right. That is the way that they believe. But that didn't go everywhere, just so you know.
Okay.
So what happened is when we left Africa, some of them went towards Asia and become shamanism. So they never met the totemists. I'm saying they went to Europe, and so it went way over here. I have a map to show you, but one went way over here, then the other went way over here. But then shamanism comes back to Europe. And then they meet in Czechoslovakia, Austria area about between 30 to 28 or something, 1,000 years ago. They meet. And when they meet, then shamanism becomes dominant and takes over all Europe. And everywhere that the totemists used to be, the shamanism push in and take over the area and make everything part of their religion. Just take over. So
could we generalize that to say that that's like the patriarchy-ish or patriarchal values taking over societies?
No.
Or am I conflating?
Shamanism would not be patriarchy. That would be more totemist. Totemist would be more patriarchy. So, but I told you, totemist had started to change. It starts maybe male, and then it turns into like maybe one being who's intersex, bisexual, means all for the clan. Then they split it into male and female, and then they kind of separate but equal, like segregation, separate but equal kind of, where think of it this way, they feel women, as I already told you, are the spiritual ones, are the religious ones, and the men, they're going to control things. So they're the clan leaders, whatever, but they're not spiritual. So you have these two people that are powerful in a sense, the head of the religion and the head of the culture or whatever. And they worked somewhat together, and then shamanism actually was affected by that, because shamanism was more patriarchal. Because the first barrier at 34,000 shaman, it's a man with 1,500 beads, and then he has a person's head over him, a male. Then he has 2 male boys. And then parts of that same male's body is over them also, in a sense. So it's male, 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 all male. Although the 2 boys, one looks manly, one looks girlish. And one has male toys, one has dolls and girls' toys, in a sense. I mean, that's what it has.
Interesting.
So they first thought actually it was a boy and a girl. But then they checked their DNA and realized, oh, these are 2 boys. But then, of course, that's us to say, maybe shamanism never had a concept of only just men and women. That they're already showing, here's one boy is a boy, here's one boy is a girl. So I really think that that's possible because of the way that they buried them.
Can I just say how fucked up it is that, like, throughout history, young girls have been given dolls to play with? Like, isn't that just like, hey, setting you up for your future? You're just going to be a mom.
But that's 34,000 years old. I mean, it's, or maybe it could be even a little bit older than that, but it's at least that old. It's old, very old. Yeah. So just I don't know how, but because see, it's very possible animism already made dolls, because the people in Africa make mud babies. Especially when they're gonna, before they get pregnant, they give a girl or have the girl go with the grandmother or someone or a mother and down to the river, and they grab mud and they turn it into a baby sort of thing. Like, it's huge. It's like a ton of, I don't know, 30 pounds of mud or whatever. I mean, it's, or whatever it is. I don't know exactly. I'm just saying it's big. But anyways, so they because maybe it's 15 pounds or 10 pounds, if I know. But anyways, I'm just saying it's huge. It's not like this little tiny nothing, It's this huge, like life-size, almost child being. And the animists say that once they make it, it's a spirit. It's alive in a sense.
Oh, interesting.
So, but it's not. This is a problem. When you look at animism, you see them doing all this stuff, but it's not super toxic. Because it's like they have all the seeds that eventually germinate into huge trees of hate. But when they have them, they're like just the seeds. So it doesn't look really terrible. They're like, because like they also have this thing where they call it MA. And MA is when a man becomes a man. But how they feel a man becomes a man, not cutting the genitals, he's still a dual being, but how he becomes a man in the culture of animism is because he kills an animal, his first hunt. He has to kill it himself. When he kills it himself, if he doesn't, by 35, you can become MA just for being male. Okay. Women cannot become MA, but they're not really seen as less. And if they want, they can go on hunts as long as it's not an MA hunt. I know it's all crazy, but I'm just saying you can start to see, even though it's not real bad, you can start to see that fucked up shit is already. Why are women different? I mean, it's just like one. But they also, it's hard because they also have the opinion that women aren't really that different, because they'll say, "Can women hunt?" And they'll say if they want to, if they're strong enough. So what I'm saying, it's not like you said, patriarchal. It's not,
Yeah.
but it kind of has the seeds already.
Okay.
Right? We have MA, and only men can be MA.
Right.
Or whatever, how to pronounce it. You know, probably pronouncing it wrong. Sorry.
Oh.
Well, I'm just saying, I know this stuff. I know what I'm talking about. I can show you documentation of what I'm saying. And the Hazai or Haza or whatever it is tribe in Africa, you can look it up, and they're considered to be not really changed for 15,000 years. They're almost doing the same thing. So they have no leaders, and they have no priests, and no shamans, and no totemism. And
Almost
a lot
like
of
that
people
works.
say, what's that?
Almost like that works.
Yeah. Well, truly, if you ask me, of all the societies we have, their society is kind of awesome.
Okay.
The fact they believe that everybody should eat. They feed everyone.
Oh.
The only time that you don't share is if it's candy. Things that are like honey and stuff, then they're less sharing. But all other food except MA stuff. And MA stuff is the penis, the scrotum, the brains, the heart, the liver, I think that's all of it. Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
All the other parts you can have. But only MA people get those special parts. It's gross, but
yeah,
You get the testicles.
Brains because you're a man.
well, generally they have to eat it raw too, which is even worse. Like, yeah, grab onto raw scrotum and just mow it down when it's still hot.
Oh, you see the apocalypto, right?
Yeah, like, oh yeah.
Yes.
but I care more about the ostracization of women from that event that makes me more offended than the taste of it. I care more about the power imbalances. Although, like I said, I do like the fact that they believe both the male and female are related to the children. So all of the tribe is related to each other by both, not like, well, who's, your father's line or your mother's line. There's no such thing as that. They have some cool stuff, but it's also not great. But definitely, like you said about gender. So their stuff isn't real heavy. It's not real patriarchal. And totemism is definitely more patriarchal, but still, it depends. And then shamanism isn't patriarchal. And like I said, actually, they prefer shamans to be female or gay or trans or intersex or whatever, bisexual. In fact, up in Siberia, they actually believe that you can cross-dress, become a woman, because you actually can then relate to your female ancestors and get their help and stuff. But also, they believe another thing weird. They believe that you can go into the afterlife as a different gender and have sex with the opposite sex of that gender. In other words, like, I'm a man, I could become a female, go up there, and then have sex with a man ancestor.
Okay.
In whatever afterlife thing, but I mean, obviously not real, but I'm just saying that's the concept, though. So that's what I'm saying is they definitely are not like male only. But here's the other thing too: a lot of the tribes up there are polyamorous, and some people even they're like the woman when she marries, like I think this is in Tibet, but the woman that marries has to have sex with all the brothers. Which I see is not a great thing. Because one person goes, "Oh, isn't that great? Women can do it. They have different sex with different guys." I'm like, yeah, I have a feeling they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So you're saying that now they have to do that. Yeah. See, how I see it is a different lens. People are like, "Oh yeah, look at there's women empowerment." I go, "That doesn't sound like women empowerment." I look at the poly. I go, "Yeah, but did you hear what it says? He lends his wife out. Does that sound like the wife decides to go do this? Or she has no agency and he gives her away as if he owns her."
Right.
Or Abraham Abram giving Sarai away to the Pharaoh.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm like, yeah, that's not really the woman's having the right to choose or some kind of a no. So
right.
So I mean, but I know that some of them have totemism. So I don't know if it's totemism. See, shamanism is higher in sexual stuff, where totemism is more constrictive and more like the church. only this, only this time, only this person, only this way, or something, where shamanism is way more freaky, like all kinds of ways, sex even in the afterlife with the other gender. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
So where in the Lego bricks that you talk about do we see like trans and intersex people like accepted and venerated versus
shamanism.
where do we and then where do we see it
shamanism.
come in where it's like vilified?
Like I said, totemism is mainly where it gets vilified, but also in a sense paganism kind of does, because paganism often focuses on male gods, and the more they do that, then the more they, like, see it this way, when paganism focused on female gods, talking about Iana, the cult of Iana, the men were often bisexual or homosexual or trans or whatever.
Inanna from
Inanna.
Sumerian. Oh, okay.
Correct. Yeah, and there's in fact, I have an archaeology friend that wrote a paper called the non-heteronormativity of the Iana cult or whatever in Mesopotamia. That the men would have sex in the temple because that deity was known to be related to men doing that, in a sense. So, but then when that deity is gone, then hey, no. Just like there used to be at 6,000 Nishi, the 6,000-year-old deity before the Sumerians' culture got writing, that deity was the deity of social justice, the goddess of social justice. Really, I was like, that's the one awesome deity I like. Actually cares about children and people suffering, but eventually he also becomes a deity of war. So that was not like that deity's original function. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's because the deities, as you know, as an atheist, also eventually get hijacked by people and they want to power. So this is why we're like, a lot of times, like, atheists will say, well, religion is only made to control people. Well, if you mean totemism, okay. If you mean paganism after kings and all this shit put their fingers all over it, then okay, yeah. But if you mean as in all, no, that's not accurate. It simply is not. But if you're talking about, like I said, so when it starts 12,000 years ago or so, 1312, it's hunting cult, and it's pretty much equal men and women, not that bad in the Middle East, right? But then it goes herding about 1211, and that becomes the dicks that males everything. I have a thing where all of them are like, there's like 8 different figures in this one little area, and they're all almost 11,000 years old. It's all about the dick, but the dick actually relates to Orion, which relates to the Milky Way, and which everyone thought the Milky Way was how you get to heavens, like the path of the. Anyway, so then it's slavery is 12,000 in the Middle East. So it's right when it goes into the herding. All those things are going. 12,000 something is also the first mace head, where it's in a sense a symbol of authority and hierarchy. Because only
what happened to us then? My gosh.
Yeah, well, and that got spread around everywhere. That's why everyone ends up with this similar stuff. It's all from the Middle East, but the ideas didn't originate there, but it left there and gave its toxic hierarchy shit all over the place. So then by 7,000, you have another change where I consider it World War Zero, because from 7,000 to 5,000, there's a drop in male to female ratio in the DNA, where it's one woman for every 15 to 17 guys, meaning they were killing a lot of guys and raping and taking the women. Well, actually, in the step, they don't call it raping and taking. They call it bride capture, or
I think I know which event you're talking about.
Wait, you're saying there was a lot more men and fewer women?
There was more women and fewer men. Like you have one woman, right? You're one, and then in your culture there'll be 17 guys for every one of you. We're gone, in a sense.
Oh, right? We're gone.
Right. So killed off. So you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So to the point, I guess I could have said it the other way. So there's one man and he has 17 women. How about that? Does that
Okay.
make it easier?
Yep. Because the dudes had all like killed each other.
Got murdered.
Okay.
Well, either they're murdered or castrated or kept from sex. As slaves.
Oh.
Who knows how exactly that happened? We do know there's a 90% replacement in England, 90% replacement in Spain, 90 something or 80% in Ireland. So they killed everybody that was male to a large point. But anyways, so that when the deities that come around that time are murderous fucking thugs, right? Because they're matching the people that are. Because think about this: if you're killing, you want to go ahead and justify that. Well, see, God likes me doing this. Just like in the Indo-European mythology, there's a thing called the cattle raiding myth. Well, that's something that criminals do. That's literally part of their religion. It shows you that the people in the steppes were absolute okay with criminals and wanted to justify it's okay by saying, see, look at this myth. I feel it's because also I think it has to do with the steppe in relation to sedentary people, the people that are moving, people that are not. We go and steal and take from them. It's great because we're better and more powerful, and God loves us more.
As evidenced by the fact that we can steal and get away with it.
There you go.
Okay.
God blessed us. We got away with it. Yeah, it's all six. But I'm saying is I think
like health and wealth.
Yeah.
That to me is when you start to get capitalism kind of ideas. That's when you start to get ideas. And that's also to me, this Europe in like Hungary and all that, they used to have probably in Europe, other areas in Germany, where used to have probably 5 genders. But after 5,000, there's only 2. And then that idea is forced onto everyone. So before 7,000, there wasn't this male and female only. It's not there. That's not, absolutely zero was supported by the archaeology and historical evidence, whatever. It's not there. So of course you could again, why did it do that? Well, I don't know when they ever got killed. It's probably, and you're doing all these bad things, raping and stealing women. I don't know. Probably you justify your bullshit by saying, see, this is a good thing. My God kills my enemies. Well, used to be God helped us and didn't kill anybody. So what the fuck happened?
What the fuck
then,
happened exactly?
Then by 5,000, right? So it's like War of the Clans. But then by 5,000, it's War of the Empires. So it's
power
still
had
paganism.
consolidated.
Now, the pharaoh, right? You've heard of the pharaoh, right? A pharaoh is a priest king.
Yeah.
So he's both a king and head of the whole religion. So he can kind of say, well, this is that, and we like this and that, right? Even later, the one guy tried to make it a monotheism, right?
Yeah.
He tried to just change it all, right? Because he could. Yeah. This is what I'm trying to say. So that 5,000 and down, atheists are totally right to say it's all about control.
Okay.
Because the king was just deciding how shit was going to work for him.
And you're saying previously, like there was this idea that the male was sort of the king of society and the female was sort of ruler of the spiritual world. So you're saying that
happened probably 35,000 years ago.
Okay. But by 5,000, that was totally gone. And that power was just consolidated into one. Okay.
Totally cool. Because all kings have to be male.
Right.
In fact, even like in the Americas, back to what I was saying about the Great Spirit, when they call it Sky Chief, it's almost always a male.
Sure.
In fact, the Tlingit word for chief in there, because actually, like if you look it up online, oh no, sorry, I said the wrong word, not Tlingit. Tisham. I'm not good at names, whatever. But it's one of the cultures up there that does totem poles and stuff in the Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
So it's Tisham, the Haida, and the Tlingit. All of them are almost same religion. But anyway, so the Tisham, if you look up like their on Wikipedia, it'll say they won't say their real name for their deity. It just says Lord of Heaven. But of course, I'm not okay with that. I took those words and figure out what those words really mean in their language. And so it's actually Chief Sky is with the name, or Sky Chief, which other cultures in Americas actually just call it Sky Chief. So Lord of Heaven really is Chief Sky or Sky Chief. So, and of course he's a male. So
Sure. the big
chief,
dog on top.
Well, I'm just saying. So yes, there is absolutely a connection to these different ideas. Just like there used to be female-run religion until 2000. After 2,000 years ago, there was not India, not anywhere is there a totally female-run religion. Because even in India, right? So right now, I think they have, three or four different main cults or whatever of Hinduism, sort of, where one of them is about, say, Vishnu, and then one is about what's the other one? I can't think of the top of my head. But anyways, but there's Shiva maybe, but there's like 3 male deities and 1 female, right? And you're like, oh, see, female, yeah. And all the male deities generally have male deities with them, like other deities in their belief system. But the female one has males, because you'd think, oh, she should have females, right? No. So it still shows it's not really a female-led, in a sense, religion, even that. But after
the balance is gone.
It's gone. After 2000, there's no such thing, really, to me.
Okay.
I mean, there's things that kind of linger, but they're nothing. But like I said, but that dynamic really starts 5,000 years ago. It's just it took till 2000 to just wipe out anyone who believed in females.
Right.
In a sense, as being important. So religion was hijacked.
Okay.
So I mean, religion's bad, and then it was hijacked by bad people and made it worse. That's like the Cliff Notes.
Like you had sent over some images.
Yeah, I think that we
should, and things. Yeah, is there a way we can look at that? There we go.
Nancy. Yep, that's
there. It is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that deity is labeled as female, and obviously it's a little more going on than that. But that's what I'm saying too. Is a lot of these kind of stuff. There is other deities that actually are dual gender or dual sexuality, and people don't talk about that because we wiped that shit out completely.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything about the Egyptian headdress where it's got like the cone thing? I don't know the terms.
So those are actually 2 different hats.
Together? That's what I was wondering. Yeah,
yes,
and they got put
the
together.
Red one, I top of my head, I can't remember which, but one of them has to do with Lower Egypt. One is Upper Egypt. They're the 2 kingdoms. That hat with them together means that's after the period of when they became one unit.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with a male-female thing.
No, it does not.
Just checking.
No, that has to do with kingship, and like I said, also it's telling you what time this picture was made. Even though I don't see any date right on it, I can tell by that thing that it has to be probably 4,500 or and under. It can't be super old because then it would have just one hat.
Okay.
Either the red thing or the white one. But the fact that it has both tells me that it's because if you notice the one on the other animal, right, looks like a vulture head, it has just the red cap.
Yeah.
Right.
Is
and
there
this
any
other
symbolism?
one, the lion, what those are is feathers. Those are 2 feathers.
Oh, okay. Is there a symbolism to those 2 creatures?
Well, it's probably 2 aspects of hers. Probably the vulture has to do with the afterlife, and the other one probably has to. The lion generally is kingship, which also the headdress is telling you I'm a king. But the first in Egyptian mythology, the first king is a deity. In fact, even Maat, who also has a penis like this, but is a dark male figure, not Maat. No, Mim has a penis like that sticking out, and I think Mim was also supposed to be, I think, a king at first or something.
Is there a sense that this is indicating that it was like a transgender person, or that they were assigning some sort of power to a female by giving her a penis?
Good question.
Both. I
Okay.
would say that they are totally okay with a person being intersexed or dragged or trans, that they don't have. And I do also agree that showing the penis meant that you were a creator.
Okay. How
So-
did that happen, that the penis became a sign of creation versus the like I knew about the goddess religions where it was like, you know, they honored that swollen belly and the flow of blood because that
women are
was
limited.
okay.
You can only get pregnant one time, right? I can go in and fuck 1,000 women and get 1,000 women pregnant. Who's more powerful? You only one baby, or me that can get 1,000 women pregnant?
Holy shit.
Actually, I may not even be able to get women pregnant anyways, being intersex, but because I actually haven't. And then when I had myself cut because I have an open marriage and I like to have sex. Not so much now. I mean, I still like it, but not doing it. But what I mean is that I already was low. So probably a lot of intersex people don't have, great things to do children. Not saying all, but it can happen. But I'm still saying that to your question, why would they think a man's more powerful? Because of herding. They see that you only need one male animal, right? You can have a whole herd of female, whatever, cows. One dude comes in, fucks them all, right? Not only that, lions. Going back to the lion, why is the Lion King shit? Well, the lions always have herds of women. Here's something they don't tell you, though. Lions constantly fuck other lions that are male. So, yeah, they're bisexual. So this dumb shit that like, I'm the king of the jungle, I'm a lion. Yeah, lions fuck other men. So as long as you're cool with that.
Wow.
Go ahead and show
that hurting.
Go ahead and show the other one.
Absolutely.
From Gobekli Tepe and from Italy, the intersex figurine.
Yeah, here we go. There it is.
Right. And so the top one, that figure that's sitting and has a bear on its back, and it's exposing its butthole. And then this bottom one down here, it's also showing its butthole, but doesn't have a head, like it's been broken off. That one's from Greece. That's from very early Greece, before it's even Greece, really, because I think it's like 8,000 to 6,000 or something. It's pretty old too. But then the one in the corner that has the both sides, and it has breasts and a ball sack and then a butthole. That one to me is, I think, intersex. Other people call it hermaphrodite. I don't use that word.
You don't. They use that in India. Hermaphrodites are pretty revered out there.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't use that term.
Yeah.
I just use intersex. Intersex people, that's like the people that hate intersex people or are against us, I should say, or whatever you want to call it. They'll say it's delayed sexual development or something, or DSD, some sort of a disease. They try to say, oh no, it's a disease. It's not a thing. I'm like, yeah, here's a clue. 3% of all intersex people use that fucked up term that you call it a disease. And all the rest of us, I think it was like 68% or something, use intersex. Like, dude, no. Anyways, because that's the one person trying to tell me I'm wrong. Oh, you're wrong. Now there's a doctor's term for it. I'm like, just because someone gives it a term, dickhead, doesn't mean that we as a community accept that term.
Right. Fair. Dickhead's a term. So,
yeah. So like the fact that they're showing butthole, this is not common. This is like extremely rare. Does not happen. There's no figurines that show vaginas open or something. No.
Interesting.
So this is that's why I class these as not male, not fully male, any of this, because to me they're classing it as a female or female-like, how they're behaving. So, and the fact, because they're sitting down because they're offering in a sense, their butthole to someone to have sex with.
Oh.
Really?
So, yeah, they're sitting down, both of them. and they're doing it in a way, or lifting their knees up, right? Holding your knees up to really go for it.
Gotcha.
Anyways, but to me, that just shows that kind of stuff is not really that abnormal. It's not really that like they think like it. It's just because of feminism and TV that now men are having sex with men. Like, what the fuck? You're hallucinating in your fucking dogma, because that is absolute bullshit.
Right. And here's the
Very
proof.
interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, go ahead and read the Proto-Indo-European 2 paragraphs, because in it you'll hear about the being that probably is 2 beings, and that's what I'm telling you. This is all related. The duality of things really relates also to bisexual and bigender, not just male and female, or even like 2 boys.
Right. Are you saying I should read this?
You should read it. Yeah. So people can hear it. Yes, you read it. It's not on here. Yeah.
Okay. I suspect hole number 1. So we're talking about the upper left corner.
Oh, actually, I wasn't even talking about this. You could read this. I was actually talking about, when I sent this picture, I sent you some writing.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
I wanted you to read the writing, because the writing explains what I'm talking about, sort of, for people that don't know, where it says Proto-Indo-European mythology.
Gotcha. I will read that. Okay. Proto-Indo-European mythology. In the creation myth, the first man, Manu, and his twin Yemo are crossing the cosmos, accompanied by the giant primordial cow. To create the world, Manu sacrifices his brother, and with the help of heavenly deities, the Sky Father, the Storm God, and the divine twins, there's the twins, forges both the natural elements and the human beings from his remains. Manu and Yemo seem to be the protagonists of a myth of the sovereign function, establishing the model for later priests and kings, while the legend of Trito should be interpreted as a myth of the warrior function, establishing the model for all later men-at-arms. The myth indeed recalls the Dumasilian tripartition of the cosmos between the priest, in both his magical and legal aspects, the warrior, the third man, and the herder, the cow. Some scholars
sorry, 1 second. So you see too that the cow also really isn't a cow. You see how like the truth of religion is you have to interpret it, not so these biblical scholars that read it word for word, that's not how you're supposed to read it. Just go ahead. I just wanted to make that point, that even they say the cow is also a herding, which is a man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or at least or a woman, or somebody, but more than likely man. But
right. It looked like all men there. Okay. Yeah. Some scholars have proposed that the primeval being Yemo was depicted as a 2-fold hermaphrodite intersex rather than a twin brother of Manu, both forming indeed a pair of complementary beings entwined together. The Germanic names Ymir and Tuisto were understood as twin, bisexual, or hermaphrodite intersex, and some myths give a sister to the Vedic Yama, also called twin, and with whom incest is discussed. In this interpretation, the primordial being may have self-sacrificed or have been divided in 2, a male half and a female half, embodying a prototypal separation of the sexes.
Right. See, and there's way more stuff. I'm just showing you that is inside of what is the Proto-Indo-European. We know Proto-Indo-European is at least 6,000 years old. So that thinking is a minimum of 6,000 years old. It's actually, I know more than that. That's what I keep trying to explain. That all these are saying the same old song. It's just different. But like I said, and I've told you, to me, animism, everyone's equal. Everyone's two-spirited. It's totemists that go, wait a minute, we have one person that we all come from, and so it's our clan leader. And I think it was the intersex bisexual being, because that way he could represent the whole clan. To them, they're thinking I'm talking about. So then by 35, so at 43, I think that starts. And then at 35, it splits into male and female. And that's where I told you, I think it's male clan leader, female religion leader. And then they meet the shamanists, and then the shamanists go from bearing only men to all of a sudden bearing the first at 25,000, the first female shaman. And then every shaman after that until about 7,000 is all female.
And when that is lost is related to like agrarian establishment, like herding.
Well, that's at 12,000 that happens. So actually at 12,000, they're still burying females. Because in Turkey, they have a female buried at 12,000 with a bullhead over her body. And then in Israel, in North Israel, they have a female buried with a human foot, 2 ferrets, a wing, I can't remember what, but a wing of a bird. I can't remember now what kind. And like 78 turtle shells in a round like turtle burial sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they took like I think 5 or 7 days to bury her, and they kept putting stuff in there. But yeah. But anyway, so that to me is also a shaman. And then at also at 11 to 12 in Israel, there's another 2 actually. One is a female buried holding a puppy like in the air, but died. But and of course they sacrificed the puppy. Of course, people always wonder,
I've seen that one.
Animals, like, well, they killed it, so yeah, if you mean that way. Yep. But then also there's a female pelvis. I don't know where the rest of the body is, but a female pelvis, which could be secondary burial. It means, in other words, she dies, they dig up the thing, just that, and keep it as a relic or something, and then buried it again. But they bury, I don't know. It could be, or just maybe it's 12,000 years old, 11,000 years old. It could have just weathered away or something. I don't know. But it's a pelvis, and it has a row of fox teeth. And the fox is like a dog, and the dog and the fox and wolves are all considered to be things that guard afterlife. In shamanism, I'm talking about. Because I don't believe that shit.
Now, there's one more paragraph here about Greek mythology. Is that something?
Yeah. I want you to read that too. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's do it.
The stuff I sent you helps on this theme of understanding that this is really old stuff. This is not even new at all.
Right.
But of course, we know that in general because humans have always been trans and intersex and gay and bi and whatever. So yeah, that's not a culture thing. Culture was saying we can't do it. That's the culture.
Great point. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hermaphroditus. In Greek mythology, Hermaphroditus was a child of Aphrodite and Hermes. According to Ovid, he was born a remarkably beautiful boy whom the naiad Salmacis attempted to rape and prayed to be united with forever. A god, in answer to her prayer, merged their 2 forms into one and transformed him into what is known today as someone who is intersex. His name is compounded of his parents' names, Hermes and Aphrodite. Hermaphroditus, the 2-sex child of Aphrodite and Hermes, or Venus and Mercury, Roman, had long been a symbol of androgyny or effeminacy and was portrayed in Greco-Roman art as a female figure with male genitals. The deification and the origins of the cult of Hermaphroditus beings, the cult of Hermaphroditus beings stem from Eastern religions where the hermaphrodite nature expressed the idea of a primitive being that united both sexes.
Primitive being. See, that's the key. That they say that, and the Proto-European also says the primitive being, meaning the first being was bisexual and bigender.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So, but and there's more. I could show more that do that similar or same thing. Even like in Chinese, they have fixek and something mech. But anyways, they call it divine couple in China. So if you look up divine couple in China, you'll probably find it. And it's where their bodies are human, and then their tails are like snake tails, and they weave together as one, which is a similar, all talking about the same thing.
I came across those in sacred geometry stuff that I was looking at a few years ago.
Yeah, and also people have asked before, because there's stuff in the Middle East where they have about 8,000, I think, in Anna de Gaulle or something like that in Israel. I think it's in Israel. But anyways, it has where they have one being of clay about 6 feet high with 2 heads. And they're like, oh, what is this? This is, I think it's the original being that was two-gendered. It was the original divine twin wasn't a twin. It was a one person with 2 natures in a sense.
Sure.
So, but yeah, so that when I finished writing my book, that's one of the things I realized now I'm going to explain the mythology of the whole world by saying once there was a dual being that they believed everyone came from or related to, that was bigender and bisexual, and then it splits into the divine couple. And even in Samaria, there's, by the way, I have art of this. It's really cool art too. Well, because this is art that shows the 2 god and goddess, a male and a female, together, and they actually get separated by the wind. They're the land and the heaven, but they're one being. And I drew the art to try to help people grasp what that would mean. Because you're like, how can heaven and earth be one deity? That's the Sumerian one being that's actually a male god and a female goddess. It says, not infrequently, the god of heaven, the sky father, and the goddess of earth, the earth mother, are fused into a hermaphroditic higher being or deity. Sorry. According to this legend, the heavens and the earth were once inseparable until Enlil, which is the wind, was born, and Enlil cleaved them into with the wind. Customs and myths highlight this dualistic dichotomies, for example, of the heaven and the earth, and the day and the night, and the man and the woman. But so this, once again, this is the original. So the original story, like of the creation of the world, the original story was not one God created things. And that's wrong. And also the God, when the earth and stuff was created, the water itself was a goddess. So all water was a goddess.
Okay.
And in Sumerian religion, she was actually formed by herself. She made the water by herself. She doesn't have a thing. But this is my art trying to help people grasp what it would be like for a earth and sky deity to be part of the same. What it is she's the earth, and then she has a temple that he lands on, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll just put that picture over. Yeah, later. Okay.
So and then I try to explain the mythology, but I'm trying to show you so you get the main theme. Hermaphroditic is what it is about. It's one being male and female. And that's what you read also. And that's the Greek one also. And that's the Chinese one also. And the Hindu one also. This is the Sumerian one. And it's the same fucking thing. And I told you, so is the one that relates to the earth and the sky, in a sense, from Egypt, although they have it opposite. They have Sky Mother and like the cow and all that. Who's, by the way, the oldest one of those is called the Great Flood. The cow is.
Well, then.
And I always tell people, if you notice too, they say Great Flood is that the regular floods are not the same as the Great Flood. So don't look for floods, because this one flood, they think that the whole earth. But like I said, if you understand the myth, it all starts in all water, which was a goddess. And that's also why water in the sky, they think, space is water, that all those stars are floating.
Right.
Or actually, Greek also has an opinion that there's a big sheet and there's holes, and we're seeing the sky from behind.
Right.
Holes at night. Anyways. But
it's a lot of stuff. Well, hopefully we can get the information out that people know. They can come to you if they want to keep researching this kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have, as you see, I have tons of art to help, because I felt like all this stuff is too complicated. I'm a visual learner, man. I want to see this shit. Don't talk about stuff I can't see. So that's why I tried to make, like I said, I think I've done like 800, 1,000 pieces of art for free.
Yeah.
Try to do all this, breaking it down for people so they understand what's going on and then explaining it. But I have blogs and I also have videos that also, like I said, I have 400 or 500 videos trying to explain all this for hours. I have most of my videos are 3 hours long because most stuff I'm talking about is so much complicated stuff. That's why I always laugh when people are like, "Oh, I know religion." I'm like, "Yeah, I bet you don't."
During COVID, I had a lot of time on my hands, obviously. So I started this massive historical timeline because I was just trying to understand everything. I'm like, when was this time period? What happened before that? What was the social climate like going on during this event or in this part of the world? So I just started typing up a spreadsheet, and I've been working on it for years now, just to see the layout.
Yeah, you should take the stuff that I've said. I list all kinds of shit, explain why. Or like I said, you can have me back on and you could ask me specific things, especially like I said, if it's older than 4,000 and 5,000, I'm a rock star.
Yes.
Is there anything that we said we wanted to get to today that we didn't say yet?
Well, actually, I would say that I became more anarchist after learning about religion because I started to see how controlling, like an atheist would say, how dominant those things went together, how hierarchy, like we were talking about, even from totemism. I started to see all this dog shit, and I just was like, "What the fuck?" And it made me. I was already kind of there, but it made me more like, sure, okay. Especially when I see, like we're talking about, that society's good, how societies are actually going around that don't have all that. They don't have leaders and don't have this. And the Hazai rape is almost unheard of, and yet they have no leaders and the way we think, because this reminds me, someone recently said something about, I posted about being anarchist, and he said, "Oh, it's just people that don't know reality." I know reality fucking well.
Yeah.
And I know that we cannot function in the way we are for like ever, right? Because everything about capitalism, the thing I always talk about is like more jobs and more things and more stuff. It always has to be increasing. Even like they recently said, well, Trump didn't get as many new jobs because it's all about growth and growth. Just think, can we exponentially grow on an earth that doesn't allow that? No. You realize that can't happen. So it's an understanding of reality that this capitalist bullshit, it can't. We're almost burning the earth now. We're almost having freaking storms and floods, and if you keep going, if you, like Trump wants to do, take out all the stuff for climate change and all the stuff about reality, and just live in a fantasy world that we can just forever spend like this, and we can forever just burn all the trees and dig up all the gold. Okay, so when all the gold's gone, then what? When all the diamonds are gone, then what? When all the oil has been put out into polluted our environment to where we can't breathe, then what? Oh, I know what. Capitalism go, I'll sell you some clean air.
Oh my gosh.
And they've actually done that already. There's places in the world that have actually sold people that live in very toxic areas clean air. That's going to come for everybody. I mean, so to me, if we care about our fellow beings, then we should want equality, because it reminds me of there's a thing in morality where it says that you're blind, right? That you're the veil of ignorance. If I said you're going to go into this earth, right? But you don't know what gender, what sex, what religion, what kind of family background, you don't know anything. You're going to go to this place. How many rights do you want for the victimized? All of them, because I could be the victim, right? If I don't know what I'm going to be, if I don't know, maybe I'm going to be gay, maybe I'm going to be a woman, maybe I'm going to be a poverty, maybe I'm going to be a child in a war-torn country, wouldn't I want the most rights? That's not actually how I do my morality, but that's a morality thing. What I do, the morality, is moral love and moral fear. Moral love is that we want justice. Moral fear is that somehow harm could happen. So it gives us actually moral care is what happens, a moral care perspective. In other words, if I said, well, this one person killed a person, you're like, okay, so lock up the rest of their life. I go, that person's 8. Moral care or moral fear comes in and goes, No, I don't think that they should be put for life. No, it makes you start where the justice does blind, right? They always talk about, right? The blind, you don't see anything. You just do the justice. Pure
Right.
justice is injustice to the weak.
Yes.
It
It
ends
sounds
up
like reparative justice is
right,
where that's
restorative
headed.
justice, yeah.
Restorative, thank you.
But I mean, I'm just making a comment that when these two things, how you view the world, how you see what should be or should not be done, are constantly at odds. It's because it's like there's a balance, right? Justice and care. And if you do all justice, care is gone. And if you do all care, justice is gone. You can't have 100% care and 100% justice at the same time. It doesn't happen. We have to make a conclusion of which actual thing we're going to do. And the real truth is we don't really do 100% because we realize that's not how we should do it. Because 100% with everybody who does anything should have that thing done to them. That would be 100% justice.
Oof.
Right? You rape someone, you should be raped. You steal from someone, you should have shit stole from you. What you get what I'm trying to say is you should it, but that you already know that what kind of a world would that, like the eye for an eye, right? If the eye for an eye leaves the world blind, right?
Yes.
That statement.
Yeah.
Right. So you realize you really can't do that. There has to be something. How about just like you're talking about restorative. What about forgiveness? What about if you realize, or how about this? What if I did all these things, but I was on drugs, so I wasn't really thinking? Should I have any leeway? Should we just do 100% justice? You realize, maybe not, because so just like we also say that someone had an emotional thing to where they can't think. Like, just say that you kill your child's rapist. Is that a normal killing? Should we punish you to the full extent of the law? Or should we go, I can understand where you'd want to kill him. Do you know what I'm saying?
These are the questions that we have to face, and it's not easy or clean.
But I'm trying to say that we don't start with realizing that it's a balance and that we have to make it imbalanced to make a judgment. So in other words, they call it the moral weight of things is always there. They haven't, and that's what I, in a sense, realized, that it's all my actions matter. Everything I'm doing. Just like, think of this. Imagine if I said all this wonderful thing and I'm raping kids. Would you care? You'd only care that I raped kids. That'd be done, right? Right for me, I'd be done with someone. But I'm just obviously not everybody, because look at, they support people that do this shit. But what I'm saying is you realize that it shouldn't be that way. And that's where I'm at, is I realize we have to do something. And it's always going to be hard. And it's always going to be, and it just like they always say, moral dilemmas. You know why it's a dilemma? Because it's hard. Why is it hard? Really, to me, all moral things are a dilemma. Because they require you to do the hard thing.
Yeah.
Either we have to force justice and get rid of care sometimes. And sometimes we have to do the opposite. Say, not so much justice because we have to care. And I think that it's a balance. It's not all or nothing, either or all the time. But to me, that's the way where life is. It's not all the time that every single thing, is going to be great. To me, I realize reality is not kind, but that is why it is upon us to make it so.
Yes, I'm for that. Well, on that note, can you tell our audience where they can find you and dive even deeper into the wealth of knowledge that you have brought to our stage?
Yep, like I told you, Damien Marie AtHope.com, and that has all my links. But also, you can just look up. I'm Damien Marie AtHope at YouTube also. Appreciate
it so much. Thank you for taking a good portion of your day to spend with us and explain all of these things. Yeah, I really appreciate your knowledge and your time and the activism that you do and the way that you do it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Go check out Damien. Bye.